too soft or too unclear? Yes?
Please
Too
say the
loud.
louder the better. Please say the
Not
louder the
clear.
better. Okay.
हाँ? नहीं, माइक की जरूरत पड़ती है, अब जरा थोड़ा आवाज थक जाती है.
But his voice has always inspired us, I am sure. Right. Okay, ladies and gents, to conclude our stage sessions for today, we are in the presence of a legend whose career has been a masterclass in the art of the unspoken. Nasaruddin Shah Saab is one of India's most acclaimed actors. His work on stage and on screen has been lauded and recognized worldwide. In his long, illustrious career,
I was carrying a file.
his file.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can anybody see a brown file anywhere? I can't. I seem to have. Oh. Yeah, you had me worried for a while. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, please carry on.
No worries. As I was saying, in his long, illustrious career, he has won innumerable awards, including 3 National Film Awards in India and Best Actor at the Venice Film Festival for the film Par. The government of India has honored him with the Padma Shri and the Padma Bhushan for his work. Whether it was the raw grit of Iqbal, the lyrical charm of Ishqiya, or the profound vulnerability of Masoom, his voice has always been a guide for all of us movie and art lovers. Personally, sir, I attribute my discovery and love for singing ghazals after watching him in Sarfarosh. Right? So if I make a mistake in this, please do not throw that glass at me. I'll try my best. उनके तलफ़ुज़ में इश्किया का नशा है और मासूम सी सच्चाई भी. वो बोलते हैं तो अल्फाज के साथ साथ रूह भी एक दास्तान सुनाती है. Thank you, and please keep that clap going for Nasaruddin Shah Saab as he breathes life into Vikram Seth's beastly tales from here and there, specifically the evocative, the elephant, and the Tragopan. Sir.
We can put this off. Greetings and welcome. When Shakespeare played, the stage was bare. When Shakespeare played, the stage was bare of palace, castle, font, or stair. 4 actors made the rabble rout. 4 broadswords fought the battle out. The throne of Denmark was a chair when Shakespeare played. Upon his stage without thrust prow, his actors came as I come forward now to beard my listeners fearlessly. Nothing tame, no creeping back behind a picture frame, no colored scenes emblazoned. When Shakespeare played, there was heard the high, unclouded summer of the word. I suspect I've frightened you all enough to be anticipating that you will be subjected to William Shakespeare for the next hour or so. No, but let me assure you, the Bard of Avon does not enter this evening, except for one sentence which Mr. Vikram Seth has borrowed from King Lear. But these are stories about animals, which is why we've borrowed Vikram Seth's book title. But we are not confining ourselves to Vikram Seth. We intersperse the poems of Beastly Tales with very short stories by James Thurber, the American humorist. May seem like a strange combination, but the stories are all about animals. And it does show their concern and their love for animals. And of course, the words they use are absolutely beautiful. The parallels are too obvious to explain. They're sometimes amusing, sometimes enlightening, sometimes a little bit scary. To think about what would be if animals began to behave like humans. So I will read you the 4 stories, which each one has a moral, and then the poem. And any resemblance to people living or dead is purely intentional. The first story is called The Bear Who Let It Alone. In the woods of the far west, there lived a brown bear who could take it or let it alone. He would go into a bar where they sold mead, a fermented drink made of honey. He would put some money on the bar and would just have 2 drinks. Then he would say, see what the bears in the back room would have, and he would go home. But finally, he took to drinking by himself most of the day. He would reel home at night, kick over the umbrella stand, knock down the bridge lamps, and ram his elbows through the windows. Then he would collapse on the floor and lie there until he went to sleep. His wife was deeply distressed, and his children were very frightened. At length, the bear saw the error of his ways and began to reform. In the end, he became a famous teetotaler and a persistent temperance lecturer. He would tell everybody that came to his house the awful effects of drink, and he would boast about how strong and well he had become since he gave up touching the stuff. To demonstrate this, he would stand on his head and on his hands and would turn cartwheels in the house, kicking over the Huh? And what are we dying for? Someone asked the zebra. The new order, said the zebra. And gibbous, it shone upon a jungle in which nothing stirred except a macaw and a cockatoo screaming in terror. All the animals of the jungle were dead except the tiger. And his days were numbered, and his time was ticking away. He was monarch of all he surveyed, but somehow it didn't seem to mean anything. Moral, you can't very well be king of beasts if there aren't any. The next story is called The Owl Who Was God. These stories were written in the 30s, in the 1930s in the USA. Once upon a starless midnight, there was an owl who sat on the branch of an oak tree. Two ground moles tried to slip quietly by, unnoticed. You, said the owl. What? Who? Who? They quivered in fear and astonishment, for they could not believe it was possible for anyone to see them in that thick darkness. Who? You too, said the owl. The moles hurried away and told the other creatures of the field and forest that the owl was the greatest and wisest of all animals, because he could see in the dark and because he could answer any question. I'll see about that, said the secretary bird, and he called on the owl one night again when it was very dark. How many claws am I holding up? Said the secretary bird. Two, said the owl. And that was right. Can you give me another expression for that is to say, or namely, asked the secretary bird. To wit, said the owl. Why does a lover call on his love? Asked the secretary bird. To woo, said the owl. The secretary bird hastened back to the other creatures and reported that the owl was indeed the greatest and wisest animal in the world, because he could see in the dark and he could answer any question. Can he see in the daytime too? Asked a red fox. Yes, yes, echoed a dormouse and a French poodle. Can he see in the daytime too? All the other creatures laughed loudly at this silly question, and they set upon the red fox and his friends and drove them out of the region. Then they sent a messenger to the owl and asked him to be their leader. When the owl appeared among the animals, it was high noon, and the sun was shining brightly. He walked very slowly, which gave him an air of great dignity. And he peered about him with large staring eyes, which gave him an air of tremendous importance. He's God, screamed a Plymouth hen. And the others took up the cry, he's God, he's God. And so they all started screaming. And they followed him wherever he went. And when he began to bump into things, they began to bump into things too. Finally, he came to a concrete highway, and the crowd followed him. Presently, a hawk, which was acting as outrider, observed a truck coming towards them at 50 miles an hour. And he reported to the secretary bird, and the secretary bird reported to the owl. There's danger ahead, said the secretary bird. To it, said the owl. The secretary bird told him. Aren't you afraid? He asked. Ooh, said the owl, for he could not see the truck. He's God, cried all the creatures. And they were still crying, He's God, He's God, when the truck hit them and ran them down. Some of the animals were merely injured, but most of them, including the owl, were killed. Moral: you can fool too many of the people too much of the time. Then the last story, which is called The Very Proper Gander. A gander is a male goose, as you all know. Not so very long ago, there was a very fine gander. He was strong and smooth and beautiful, and he spent most of his time singing to his wife and children. One day, somebody who saw him strutting up and down in his yard and singing remarked, "There is a very proper gander." An old hen overheard this and told her husband about it that night. They were saying something about propaganda, she said. Oh, I have always suspected that, said the rooster. And he went around the barnyard telling everyone that the very fine gander was a dangerous bird, more likely a hawk in gander's clothing. A small brown hen remembered a time when, at a great distance, she had seen the gander talking with some hawks in the forest. They were up to no good, she said. A duck remembered that the gander had once told him that he did not believe in anything. He said, "To hell with the flag." With the flag, said the duck. A guinea hen recalled that she had once seen somebody who looked very much like the gander, talking, carrying something which looked very much like a bomb. Finally, everybody snatched up sticks and stones and descended on the gander's house. He was strutting in his front yard, singing to his wife and children. "There he is!" everybody cried. "Hawk lover, unbeliever, flag hater, bomb thrower." So they set upon him and drove him out of the country. Moral: anyone who you or your family thinks is going to overthrow the government by singing to his children needs to be driven out of the country. Thank you. If you'll excuse me, I'll just have a... no, I haven't finished. Now, these were stories by James Thurber. This is now a poem, a rather long one, by Vikram Seth from his book, The Beastly Tales from Here and There. It's called The Elephant and the Tragopan. And I consider it a very significant poem. And we often we do perform these stories along with several other poems interspersed with Thurber's stories to students and to audiences as well. The reason I think it's important is because As we look on in astonishment and horror at the devastation nature causes in ecologically fragile places in our country, rather than nature, it is human need and human greed which causes it, and indiscriminate building in habitat which is not meant to hold that kind of structure. We've seen that happen. As we breathe the toxic air of our cities, as we see the trees being felled, as our ears are always assailed by the sound of stone cutting and drilling machines, and as we watch forests being felled, green lungs of the city being turned into amusement parks, some of us wonder, are we damaging the earth? We need not worry. The earth has been around for millennia before humans evolved, and will be around for millennia after humans have gone. But it does make one wonder whether the human dominance of this beautiful blue-green ball has been a huge evolutionary mistake. We're not damaging the earth, it can look after itself. What we have to realize is the damage we are doing ourselves. And this poem talks about that in the voices of animals. And these animals, the voices of these animals, could be the voices of the animals who inhabit the forests of the island of the Great Nicobar. It's called The Elephant and the Tragopan. In Bengal Valley, broad and green, where neither hut nor field is seen, where bamboo, like a distant lawn, is gold at dusk and flushed at dawn, where rhododendron forests crown the hills in scarlet blossom, where a cold river filled with ice sustains a minor paradise, where each year a dozen shy black bears appear. An elephant and Tragopan discussed their fellow creature, man. The Tragopan last week had heard a rumor from another bird, most probably a quail or sparrow, such birds have gossip in their marrow, that man had hatched a crazy scheme to mar their land and dam their stream, to flood the earth on which they stood and cut the woods down for their wood. The Tragopan, good-natured pheasant, a trifle shocked by this unpleasant, even if quite unlikely news, had scurried off to test the views of his urbane and patient friend, the elephant, who had swung his trunk from side to side with gravitas and thus replied, "Who told you? Ah, the quail? I rather doubt it. But who can tell? I would suggest we wait and see. Now, would you care to have some tea?" He drew a lukewarm gallon up his trunk and poured his friend a cup. A week passed, and the Tragopan one morning read the news and ran in panic down the forest floor to meet the elephant once more. A cub reporter, Bison Calf, who wrote for Bengal Telegraph, had just confirmed the frightful fact in language chilling and exact. "Here, read it," said the Tragopan. And so the elephant began. Bengal, 5th April, Saturday. Reliable informants say that the great big shot #1, the Shri Padma Bhushan Govardhan, and the Man Council of this state, intending to alleviate the water shortage in the town across our ridge and 10 miles down, have spent 3 cartloads of rupees so far upon consultants' fees, whose task is swiftly to appraise efficient, cheap, and easy ways to dam our stream, create a lake, and blast a tunnel through to take sufficient water to supply the houses that men occupy? What do you think the Tragopan said about this wicked plan to turn our valley blue and brown? I will not take this lying down. I'll cluck at them. I'll flap my wings. I tell you, I will do such things. What they are yet, I do not know. But take my word. I mean to show these odious humans what I feel. And the great partridge will reveal, that partridge dwelling in the sky, who looks down on us from on high. He will reveal to us the way. So kneel with me and let us pray. The elephant said, let me think. Before we pray, let's have a drink. Some bamboo wine, perhaps, some tea. No, no, the bird said angrily. I will not give in to distraction. This isn't time for tea, but action. The wattled horns upon his head stood upright in an angry red. The elephant said nothing. He surveyed the landscape thoughtfully and flapped his ears like a great fan to cool the angry Tragopan. It's infamous, I know, he said, but we have got to use our head. Praying may help us, who can tell, but they, of course, have gods as well. I would endeavor to maintain our plans upon a terrestrial plane. What I propose is we convoke the beastly board of forest folk for a full meeting to discuss the worst that can occur to us. And so, that evening, all the creatures with tusks or gills or other features met at the river's edge to plan how they might outmaneuver man. Gibbons and squirrels, snakes, wild dogs, deer and macaques, 3 types of frogs, porcupines, eagles, trout, wagtails, civet cats, sparrows, bears, and quails, blood-sucking leeches, mild-eyed newts, and leopards in their spotted suits, stated their stances, asked their questions, and made their manifold suggestions. Some predators drooled at the sight, but did not act on appetite. The leopards did not kill the deer. The smaller birds evinced no fear. Each eagle claw sat in its glove. The mood was truce, if not quite love. At meetings of the beastly board, eating each other was outlawed. The arguments grew sharp and heated. Some views advanced and some retreated. Some feared to starve and some to drown. Some said they should attack the town. The trout said they were unconcerned if the whole bamboo forest burned, so long as they had space to swim. The miners joked, the boars looked grim. They talked for hours, and at the close, at last, the elephant arose, and with a modest trumpet call, drew the attention of them all. O beasts of Bengal, gathered round. O beasts of Bengal, gathered round. Though in our search for common ground, I would not dream of unanimity, I hope our views can reach proximity. I speak to you as one whose clan has served and therefore studied man. He is a creature mild and vicious, practical-minded and capricious, loving and brutal, sane and mad, the good as puzzling as the bad. The sticky center of this mess is an uneasy selfishness. He rips our flesh and tears our skin, for cloth without, for food within. The leopard's spots are his to wear. Our ivory unknots his hair. The Tragopan falls to his gun. He shoots the flying fox for fun. The black bear dances to his whim. My own tame cousins slave for him. Yet we who give him work and food have never earned his gratitude. He grasps our substance as of right to quench and spur his appetite. Nor will he grant us truce or grace to rest secure in any place. Sometimes he worships us as gods, or sings of us at Eisted fods, or fashions fables, myths, and stories to celebrate our deeds and glories. And yet, despite this fertile fuss, when has he ever cared for us? He sees the planet as his fief, where every hair or drop or leaf or seed or blade or grain of sand is destined for his mouth and hand. If he is thirsty, we must thirst. For of all creatures, man comes first. If he needs room, then we must fly. And if he hungers, we must die. Think what will happen when his scheme to tame our valley and dam our stream begins to thrust its way across these gentle slopes of fern and moss with axe, explosive, and machine. Since rhododendron logs burn green, they'll all be chopped down for firewood or logged and smuggled out for good. As every bird and mammal knows, when the road comes, the forest goes. And let me say this to the trout. The bamboo will be slashed, no doubt, and what the tragopan and I love to eat will burn and die. But what will happen to your stream? Before the reservoir, your dream of endless space can come about, the soot and filth will snuff you out. What tolls for us is your own bell. And similarly, let me tell the leopards, who may fancy here a forest full of fleeing deer, after your happy passing slaughter, you too will have to flee from water. You will be homeless like us all. It is this fate we must forestall. So let me say to every single endangered denizen of Bengal, we must unite in fur and feather, for we shall live or die together. All this made such enormous sense that all except the rather dense gray peacock pheasants burst out cheering. The peacock pheasants, after hearing the riotous applause die down, asked with an idiotic frown, "But what is it we plan to do?" A bison calf remarked, "I knew these peacock pheasants are half-witted." And everybody joshed and twitted the silly birds till they were dumb. How typical, how troublesome. The monkey said, "What awful taste. How graceless and brazen-faced when all of us are clapping paws to undermine our joint applause." Oddly, the elephant was the beast who, of them all, was put out least. He flapped his ears and bowed his head. "The pheasants have a point," he said. "Unfortunately," he went on, "the days of beastly strength are gone. We don't have mankind on the run. That's why he's done what he has done. We can't, as someone here suggested, burn down the town. We'd be arrested or maimed or shot or even eaten. But I will not accept that we are beaten. Someone suggested that we flee and set up our community in some far valley where no man has ever been or ever can. Sweet to the mind, though it may seem, this is but an idle dream. For nowhere lies beyond man's reach to mar and burn and flood and leach. A distant valley is indeed no sanctuary from his greed. Besides, The beasts already there will fight with us for food and air. No, we must struggle for this land where we have stood and where we stand. What I suggest is that we go to the great big shot down below and show him how self-interest and what his conscience says is best both tell him, let the valley be. Who knows, perhaps he may agree. If nothing else, to hear us out. But we must take, without a doubt, firm data to support our prayer. An addition must prepare some other scheme by which he can ensure more water gets to man. For by the twitching of my trunk, without that, we are really sunk. And so it happened that a rally meandered forth from Bengal Valley a few days later up and down the hills toward the human town. With trumpet, cackle, grunt, and hoot, they harmonized along their route, and long live Bangladesh was heard from snout of beast and beak of bird. Protect our spots, the leopards growled, while the wild dogs and gibbons howled. Redress our sorry tale, the tragedy of Bengal Vale. And there, red-breasted in the van, clucked the gallant Tragopan, raised high upon the elephant's neck and guiding him by prod and peck. The only absentees, the trout, were much relieved to slither out. They asked, how can we wet our gills climbing up and down those hills? The journey will be far too taxing. We'd rather spend the time relaxing. We'll guard the valley while you plead. All right. The other beasts agreed. Meanwhile, from fields and gates and doors, the villagers came out in scores to see the cavalcade go by. Some held their children shoulder high, while others clutched a bow or gun and dreamed of pork or venison. But none had seen or even heard of such a horde of beast and bird. And not a bullet or an arrow touched the least feather of a sparrow. So stunned and stupefied were they even cheered them on the way, or joined them on the route to town, where the great big shot with a frown said to his ministers, look here, what is this thing that is drawing near? What is this beastly ragtag army? Have I gone blind or am I barmy? Yes, sir, said the number two. I mean, no, sir. They've not gone through the proper channels. The protocol protection panels have no idea who they are, nor does the riffraff registrar. It's possible they don't exist. Well, exist or not, they are getting near. And you will be number 12, I fear, unless you find out what the fuss is all about and tender us advice on what to think and be and do and say. Now be off with you. The number two was almost crying as he rushed off with his shirt tails flying and flew back with without a kamarband or hat and flew back in a minute flat. Oh, big shot, sir. Thanks to your grace by which I'm here in second place. Thanks to your wisdom and your power, which grows in glory by the hour. Thanks to the faith you have placed in me, which gives me strength to hear and see. Thanks to, yes. The big shot said, thanks to my power to cut you dead. What is it you have come to learn? Sir, they plan to overturn your orders, sir, to dam up Bengal. And sir, I saw some pressmen mingle with the parade to interview a clouded leopard and a shrew. The beasts are all against your plan. The worst of them is the Tragopan. His eyes are fierce. His breast is red. He wears a wattle on his head. He looks so angry, I have a hunch he's the leader of the bunch. And when I met them, they weren't far. Oh, sir, here they are. For now, a Hulock gibbon's paw was battering on the big shot's door. And animals from far and wide were crowding in on every side. Save Bengal Valley, rose the cry. For Bengal, let us do or die. Wait, said the big shot in a tizzy. Wait, you can't come in. I'm busy. I am the great big shot number one, Sri Padma Bhushan Govardhan. I rule by popular anointment. You have to meet me by appointment. What nonsense, said the triopan. You try to stop us if you can. The big shot sensed their resolution and turned from awe to elocution. Dear friends, he said, regretfully, the matter isn't up to me. What the Man Council has decreed is not for me to supersede. It is true, I, so to speak, presided, but all and none of us decided. That is the doctrine, don't you see, of joint responsibility. But if next year, in early fall, you fill in 7 copies, all the forms that deal with such a case, and bring them over to my place, together with the filing fees and 3 translations in Chinese, the council at my instigation may give them due consideration. Meanwhile, my friend, since you are here a little early in the year, no fault of yours, of course, but still, it is not the best of times. Where I will invite you to a mighty feast, where every bird and every beast will sup on simply superfood. And if later, if you are in the mood, please come to hear the speech I'm due to give this evening at the zoo. At this pathetic, tactless bribe, a sound rose from the beastly tribe so threatening that the big shot trembled and said to all who were assembled, "Oh, my beastly comrades, bear with me. You are upset, as I can see. I meant the stadium, not the Jew." He gestured to his number 2, who scrawled a memo in his diary. Perhaps an innocent inquiry, said the elephant, may clear the air. Please tell us, Mr. Big Shot, when you spoke just now that even if we did somehow fill out your forms and pay your fees, your cure would outdate the disease. Before next fall, our valley will have disappeared, for ill or good. The remedy that you suggest, it might be thought, is not the best. Of course, my friend, it has slipped my mind. But then, these days I often find I have so many files to read, so many seminars to lead, so many meetings to attend, so many talks, that in the end a minor fact or two slips by. But elephant, both you and I appear to understand the world. And here his fingers curled around a little golden ring. This vast, unwieldy gathering, dear elephant, is not the place where we can reason face to face about what can or should be done. We should discuss this one-on-one. To be frank, your deputation has not filled me with fond elation. Tell them to leave, I'll close the door, and we'll continue as before. Although the other beasts agreed, the elephant declared, I'll need my secretary and Mahout to help me sort this matter out. Like all the rest, he's left the room, but he can come back, I presume. There's 2 of you and 1 of me, so I expect that you'll agree. The big shot nodded. Call the man. Quick as a quack, the Tragopan opened the door and strutted in to greet his buddy with a grin. The big shot and his number 2 scowled as they murmured, How do you do? Tea came. The big shot looked benign. Milk, thanks. And sugar? 1 is fine. Not too strong. No, I like mine weak. At last, the moment came to speak. You see, good beasts, the big shot said, we need your water, or we are dead. It's for the people that I act. The town must drink, and that's a fact. Believe me, all your agitation will only lead to worse frustration. Go back, dear beasts, to Bengal now. We'll relocate you all somehow in quarters of a certain size. He yawned and rolled his little eyes. Immediately, the Tragopan pulled out his papers and began, with fact and query and suggestion, to give the big shot indigestion. You say the town is short of water? Yet at the wedding of your daughter, the whole municipal supply was poured upon your lawns. Well, why? And why is it that Minister's Hill and Babu's Barrow drink their fill through every season, dry or wet, when all the common people get is water on alternate days? At least that's what my data says. And every figure has been checked. So, big shot, wouldn't you expect a radical redistribution would help provide a just solution? The big shot's placid face grew red. He turned to number two and said in a low voice, this agitator is dangerous. Deal with him later. Then, turning to the elephant, he murmured sweetly, I'll be blunt. Your friend's suggestion is quite charming, but his naivety is alarming. Redistribute it, night and day, redistribute it all away. Ration each drop, and you'll still find demand will leave supply behind. The elephant first sipped his tea, then ate a biscuit leisurely. Just one of many things. Plant trees, revive your wells and springs, guide from your roofs the monsoon rain into great tanks to use again. Use your runoff and your waste rather than with unholy haste destroying beauty, which once gone, the world will never look upon. The elephant, now overcome with deep emotion, brushed a crumb of chocolate biscuit off his brow. Dear chap, the big shot said, somehow I think you fail to understand what really matters in the end. The operative word is votes. And next to that comes rupee notes. Your plans do not appeal to me because, dear chap, I fail to see how they will bring me either. He giggled, then continued. Neither the charming checks that generous firms with whom the council comes to terms who wish to dam or log or clear or build will come to me, I fear. Nor votes from those who think my schemes will satisfy their thirsty dreams. It's not just water that must funnel out of the dam through Bengal tunnel. Do animals have funds or votes or anything? But vocal throats, will you help me get re-elected? You're speechless, just as I suspected. Now, I've tried to talk things out with you. Now, I will tell you what to do. Lift up your stupid trunk and sign the waiver on the dotted line. Give up all rights in Bengal Vale for fur or feather, tusk or tail. And sadly, since you are now in the know, I can't afford to let you go. Your friend will never leave this room. The Tragopan has found his doom. As for yourself, my number 2 will soon escort you to the zoo. From this, the other beasts will learn your land is ours to slash and burn. And anyone defying man will be a second Tragopan. He giggled with delight and patted his cheeks with air and gently added, but if you go cahoots with me, I'll spare your friend and set you free. He stroked his ring, and I'll make sure you'll be, let's say, provided for. Before you could say pheasant stew, the servile hands of number 2 grasped the bird's collar in a vice. The elephant went cold as ice to see his friend cry out in terror. He could have signed the form in error had not the Tragopan cried out, "Don't sign! Look, look!" And at his shout, the big shot's son came running in and struck the henchman on the chin. While the foiled killer squealed and glared, for a long time, the small fry stared with indignation at his father. "Papa," he said, "I would much rather give up my place as number 3 than countenance such treachery. Why can't we let the valley live? Those who succeed us won't forgive the rape of Bengal." I recall, the small fry sighed, when I was small, you used to take me walking there with Mama in the open air. For me, a dusty city boy, it was a dream of peace and joy. Along safe paths we'd walk. A deer might unexpectedly appear and raise its velvet ears and toss its startled head and bound away. Once I saw leopard cubs at play, and I heard the mother's warning cough before you marched me off. Until this day, there's not a single house or hut or field in Bengal. How many worlds like this remain to fill our hearts with joy and pain? And is this lovely, fragile vision to be destroyed by your decision? And do you now propose to make a tunnel, dam, and pleasure lake with caravans and motorboats and tourists at each other's throats? Loudspeakers, shops, high-tension wires and Ferris wheels and forest fires? As the road comes, the trees will go. Do villagers around Bengal know what will happen to their lands? Are they too eating from your hands? I had gone snorkeling on the day the council met and signed away the Bengal bills. I know you signed, but why can you not change your mind? You talk of sacrifice and glory, your actions tell a different story. Do you expect me to respect you or decent people to detect you? Where you have slept, must mankind crawl, feared, hated, and despised by all? Don't sign, dear elephant, don't sign. Don't toe my wretched father's line. Dear Tragopan, do not despair. Do not yield the struggle in midair. I'll help your cause. And as for you, he turned toward the number 2, this time your chin, next time your head. Rubbing his fists, the small fry said. The number 2 lay on the ground. A sniveling, groveling, snarling sound oozed from his throat. The big shot stared, as rigid as a block of wood, He tried to speak. No words came out. Then, with an eerie, strangled shout, he uttered, "You malignant pup! Is this the way I have brought you up? Where did you learn your blubbery blabbering, your jelly-livered jungle jabbering? Your education's made you weak. A no-good, nattering nature freak who snorkeled half his life away. Who asked you to go off that day? You've been brought up in privilege, with Coca-Cola in your fridge, and lychees in and out of season. How dare you now descend to treason? One day all this would have been yours. These antlers, these heads of boars, this office and these silver plates, these luminous glass paperweights, my voting bank, my numbered name, my files, my fortune and my fame. I had a dream my only son would follow me as number one. I had been grooming you to be a bigger big shot after me. You might have been a higher hero and risen to be number 0. But now get out. You are in disgrace, he said, and slapped the small fry's face. The small fry, bleeding from the nose, fell. And the number 2 arose and, slobbering over the big shot's hand, called him the savior of the land. At this, the elephant got mad, and putting down the pen he had clasped in his trunk to sign, instead poured the whole teapot on their head. The water in a boiling ark splashed down upon its double mark. The big shot and his henchmen howled. The Tragopan gawked and scowled. You wanted water, here's your share. Then guards came in from everywhere. And animals came in as well. All was confusion and pell-mell. All was confusion and pell-mell. While news reporters clicked and word, clicked and word, clicked and word, at limb of man and wing of bird, the elephant stayed very still. Tragopan rushed around until, provoked by a pernicious speck, the big shot wrung its little neck. The Tragopan collapsed and cried, "Gawk, gawk," and rolled his eyes and died. He died before he comprehended his transient span on earth had ended. Nor could he raise a plaintive cry to the great partridge in the sky. What happened very fast. The melee was put down at last. The small fry cried out when he found the pheasant stretched out upon the ground. The big shot, too, began repenting when he saw everyone lamenting the martyr's selfless sacrifice. He had the body laid on ice, draped in the state flag, and arrayed with chevron, scutcheon, and cockade. And all the townspeople came to scan the features of the Tragopan. 4 buglers played Abide With Me. 4 matrons wept on a city. 4 brigadiers with visage grim threw cornflakes and puffed rice on him. 4 schoolgirls robbed the Tragopan of feathers for a talisman. And everyone stood round and kept long vigil while the hero slept. A long, alas, a final sleep. O elephant, long may you weep. O elephant, long may you mourn. This is a night that knows no dawn. And every Bengal eye is blurred with sorrow for its hero bird. And every Bengal heart in grief turns to its fellow for relief. Alas, O Bengal, who will lead the struggle in its hour of need? Is it the grief-bowed elephant who now must bear the beastly brunt? Or will the gallant martyr bird in death, if not in life, be heard? Dare the egregious big shot mock the cry, save Bengal, gok, gok, gok? And can a ghostly tragopan help to attain a Bengal ban? For it undoubtedly was true that suddenly the whole state knew of Bengal Valley and the trek that ended in the fatal peck. And panegyrics to the pheasant in prose and verse were omnipresent. Suggestions for a cenotaph appeared in Bengal Telegraph, and several human papers too discussed the matter through and through. The water problem in the state became a topic for debate. The big shot, struggling with the flood, was splashed with editorial mud. Then intellectuals began to analyze the tragopan. Was he a hothead or a martyr? A compromiser or a tartar? A balanced and strategic planner or an unthinking project banner? It seemed that nobody could tell. And maybe that was just as well. For mystery matched with eccentricity provides the grist for great publicity. And myths of flexible dimension are apt to call forth less dissension. This is a tale without a moral. I hope the reader will not quarrel about this minor missing link, but if he likes them, he can think of 5 or 7, which will do as quasi-morals. Here are 2. First is that you never know just when your luck may break, so you may as well work for your cause even without overt applause. You might in time achieve your ends. And the second is, you will find friends in the most unexpected places, hidden among unfriendly faces. For small fry swim in every pond, even the doldrums of despond. And so I'll end the story here. What is to come is still unclear. Whether the fates will smile or frown and Bengal Vale survive or drown, I do not know and cannot say. Indeed, perhaps I never may. I hope, of course, the beasts we've met will save their hidden valley. Yet, the resolution of their plight is for the world, not me to write. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nasiruddin Shah Sahab. What an absolute masterclass in the power of the spoken word. I think he deserves one more standing ovation, please. Please. Thank you, sir, for reminding us that stories don't just live in books, but in the breath and the soul of the storyteller. I think we are all entrapped by his voice. Ladies and gentlemen, as the echoes of these beastly tales settle, We will transition from the beauty of words to the power of rhythm. To bring our first day at Beaconhead House to a grand conclusion, we will welcome and invite all of you to witness the performance of the Chief Minister's Meghalaya Grassroots Music Program, or the CMMGMP, outside. We request one of the volunteers from the Shillong Literary Festival to please come up on stage and hand over a small token of appreciation to Sir here on the dais. Thank you. I'll request Cyril to kindly show appreciation to Nasiruddin Shah Sahab. Thank you very much, Sas. Thank you. Thank you. Dear friends, this is just the beginning of our Symphony in the Mist. Our journey continues tomorrow, May 9th, starting at 2:30 p.m. sharp, with the launch of the Shillong Glimpses of a City. We will have an incredible lineup from the flavors of our kitchens to the giants of Indian literature. Thank you for the warmth and presence tonight. Enjoy the music, stay for the rhythm, and we shall see you all back tomorrow here afternoon. I have been your host, Edward. Kublai Shibon, Mithela, Shukriya, and a very good night to you all.